I would appreciate any advice or suggestions on how to approach this situation. I'll change the names of those involved. I have a group of friends, though not all of them are truly close to me. Most of them are more friends by association, but we all go out together and have a good time. I do consider Mady and Jessie to be real friends. For Mady's birthday, I got her a cake. Jessie had a small civil wedding, and Mady offered to bring wine for the celebration at her place, while I offered to bring a cake. There's a girl in the group named Carly, and my relationship with her is neither friendly nor unfriendly. She's always shown some apathy towards me, and I know she doesn't really like me. I don't dislike her, but I get the sense we wouldn't be friends since we have different perspectives. During the celebration, Carly commented that she liked the cake, and Jessie mentioned that I had brought it. Carly said it was good, but that it tasted a bit dry. Everyone exchanged looks and changed the subject, but Carly kept talking about the cake. I didn't say anything about it. Carly had been planning her wedding before Jessie got married. She used to invite Mady, Jessie, and other girls to discuss prices and ask for opinions on things, but she never asked me for my help or advice. I had assumed I wasn't going to be invited. Everyone else got an invitation, and I wasn't surprised when I didn't receive one. Jessie wanted to talk to Carly about it, but I asked her not to, as I didn't want a pity invitation and understood that Carly wouldn't invite me because we're not friends. Jessie told me she wouldn't attend if it would make me feel bad, but I told her not to worry about it. Then, Carly messaged me on WhatsApp to ask about cake designs and filling options. I thought she already had that figured out since her wedding was coming up, and she'd been planning it for a while. I sent her the catalog, and she commented on a few options she liked. She asked if I did the setup, to which I replied yes, and sent her some example photos. She only reacted to the photos with a thumbs up, and we didn't talk any further. She didn't ask for a quote or schedule a consultation, so I assumed she wasn't interested in my service. This was over a month ago. Today, we went out to eat, and everyone was talking about the wedding. Her fiancé asked who I'd be bringing. I'm single, so I told him I wouldn't be attending. He asked why, and to keep the mood light and avoid drama, I mentioned I'd be traveling to visit my parents. He understood, but Carly asked me when I was leaving. I told her I'd be leaving on Wednesday, and she said, "The wedding's on Saturday. How are you going to set up the cake and desserts?" I asked which cake she was referring to, and she replied, "The one you're bringing to my wedding." I told her we didn't have anything scheduled, and she insisted she had our messages. I clarified that I had only given her options and set up photos, and since she didn't follow up, I assumed she wasn't interested. Her fiancé asked if anything could be done about it. I explained that the bakery requires a contract and a deposit. Mady asked if Carly had paid a deposit or requested a contract. Carly replied, asking why she would need to, since it was my wedding gift to her, and that I should make sure she had her cake for Saturday. I explained that I don't handle the bakery's schedule, and that, with the wedding so close, they wouldn't accept a new order. Carly seemed upset and looked very uncomfortable. I asked for my bill, paid, and said goodbye, saying I needed to go. I really don't want to lose my friendship with the group, since I'm not from this city, and I felt comfortable with them. I don't want this to create tension, but I also don't know how to handle conflicts. I know it's a bit sad that I can't stand up for myself, and would rather avoid confrontation. Mady told me that after I left, Carly said it wasn't fair for me to back out after agreeing, and some people in the group hinted that maybe I didn't want to go to the wedding because I didn't want to give her the cake. Jessie said I wasn't invited, and Carly replied that she had invited me. Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, "It's not okay for her to expect a gift, especially a big cake, from someone she didn't even invite to her wedding. You were right to tell her you hadn't agreed to make the cake. It makes sense that you wouldn't want to give something so big to someone who doesn't seem to like you very much." I responded, "And especially for me to give her that gift when we don't even have a relationship." Another commenter suggested, "Message all your friends and Carly in a group chat and clearly state that she didn't invite you. And for future interactions, there is nothing wrong to say that you haven't been invited when you haven't been invited." A different commenter pointed out, "This is why you always tell the truth. Why are you not attending? I wasn't invited." Simple and correct. When Carly said, "You were invited, ask when." Finally, someone added, "She was invited to the venue as a vendor." Now for the one-day update. I read a comment that this is how updates are done here. I hope those who gave me advice and asked for an update can see this. To those who asked why I didn't stand up for myself and let things get so out of hand, as I mentioned before, I don't like confronting people. I get nervous, feel like I can't breathe. When I had presentations in school, I used to throw up before and after each one. Sometimes, I've even kept items I didn't order or didn't want just because I was too embarrassed to exchange them. I've been in therapy, and thanks to that, I'm now able to work as a cashier in a bakery. I don't think I could have done that before. I've come a long way, but I still get nervous speaking in public. I have a younger sister, and she used to go everywhere with me. I'd give her the money, and she would pay, because just talking to the cashier would leave me breathless. I know people often feel sorry for those who seem weak, and I don't want to be seen that way or treated condescendingly. Someone sent me a private message asking our ages. I'm 21, Mady is 30, Carly is 30, Anna is 31, Carly's fiance is 31, Jesse is 30. I hope that helps clarify a bit more. Now, here's what happened next. Someone suggested what I could say to Carly, and I sent it to her. She replied saying she thought I wouldn't mind, and that I owed her a gift anyway, and she'd chosen the cake as her gift. I replied that only guests are responsible for giving gifts. She asked what I meant, and I clarified that she hadn't invited me to the wedding. She left me on read. I messaged her fiance something like, I don't want to cause drama or any misunderstandings, but I didn't commit to giving her the wedding cake. I sent him screenshots of our conversation, and he called me right away. He apologized and said he thought it was odd when Carly told him I had offered to give her the cake. I mentioned it seemed even stranger to me since I wasn't even invited. He asked if I was serious, and I told him yes, but that I wasn't upset and understood if it was something private. He apologized again, and we ended the call. Around noon, Carly messaged me saying I was making a fuss over nothing, as if I couldn't just give her the damn cake. She didn't understand why I was being so sensitive, saying I'd given Mady a cake and Jesse one as well, and asked me to explain why I couldn't do the same for her. I replied that Mady's cake was a birthday cake, and although Jesse's was for her wedding, it wasn't a wedding cake. Carly answered that it didn't matter what the cake was for. I told her if that was the case, she could buy one from the supermarket. She started typing, but I blocked her before the message came through. Then, Carly sent a message to the group with only the part where I told her to buy it at the supermarket, saying it was insulting and showed how little I valued her wedding, so no one could say she was the bad one. I responded to the group with a suggestion someone gave me in a comment, which I adapted a bit. Hey everyone, I want to clear up some confusion and rumors. I won't be attending the wedding because I didn't receive an invitation. I understood and made other plans for that time since the rest of you were invited. I'm not hurt or upset. It is what it is. The confusion about the cake is as baffling to me as it is to you. I only provided information on models and fillings from the place where I work, and that's all. I don't understand why it's expected that I cover a cake for a wedding I'm not invited to. It's true, I suggested the supermarket, as she said the purpose of the cake didn't matter. I hope this clears everything up. I wish you all a wonderful time celebrating Carly and her fiancé. Congratulations in advance to the happy couple, and I hope those not involved don't feel caught in the middle. I posted screenshots where she reacted with a thumbs up when I sent the samples, along with all the conversations from that day and today. After a while, someone commented that the group wasn't meant for this kind of drama and that we should resolve it privately. Mady jumped in and said, Carly demanded the cake in public, so it's only fair that everything is explained publicly. Another girl, let's call her Anna, commented that's not the way to ask for a gift. Carly saw everything and sent a voice note saying she didn't know a simple cake would ruin my finances, but that it was fine and that I shouldn't have shared everything in the chat. Then, she sent a second message saying that when I get married and don't have friends who can help me out with things from their jobs, I'll understand what it's like to be without support. A guy replied tagging her, "You didn't invite her?" Carly responded saying she had sent the invitation. Another guy asked, "Do you have the confirmation?" There was no reply. Carly, "No, but she should have told me when she saw she didn't get the invite." Jesse replied that she didn't like Carly's attitude, that she even considered not going and would only attend for the fiancé's sake. Carly then said, "So no one says I didn't invite you. Everyone can see here I'm inviting you now. I'll send an electronic invite since there's no point in printing one now." I replied not to bother, as I already had plans. Carly replied, "There you all see." Then someone who hadn't spoken left the group. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Is Carly seriously 30 years old? She's pathetic. You did nothing wrong. I would just distance yourself from Carly and focus on the other friendships if you wish to keep them, but also branch out and make other friendships." Another commenter added, "My move is to simply stop accepting invites to groups like this. Like, let them think what they want. They suck. Leave me out." Someone else asked, "Question, since you blocked her, how were you still receiving her text messages in the group?" I replied, "I panicked and unblocked her again. I knew she wouldn't stay quiet, and that's when she posted in the group. Then she messaged me privately again. I haven't replied to her privately anymore." Another commenter noted, "Carly clearly thrives on drama. She'll always twist things to manipulate perceptions." Someone asked, "Did she ask you for the cake again?" I replied, "No, she sent me several chicken emojis, something like that." Finally, another commenter said, What a piece of work. F her. She is trying to start shoot and get you to stir shoot up. If you haven't already, reblock her and never talk to that witch again. Am I the idiot for leaving my husband after he turned our marriage into a never-ending trial over a text? We've been married for a year and a half. Before we got married, he caught me texting my ex. I immediately cut ties with my ex, but since then, my husband is obsessed with my ex. For 2 years, he says things like, "Why don't you call your ex and see if he will come help you?" Or, "Maybe your ex will take you back since you won't take the trash out." I get it. I broke his trust, and I deserve the treatment he has been giving me. In the last 6 months, he has gotten so much worse. He has threatened to call the cops and have me arrested because I pushed him back after throwing items that belonged to my children and said I attacked him. I know what I did was wrong. I have spent over 2 years dealing with it and trying to make it up for being unfaithful. At what point is enough, though? Do I deserve to be belittled in front of my kids? Do I deserve to be told that I'm the reason I can't hang out with my friends because they may allow me to go be with another man? I have lost all my individualism because I was texting my ex only a couple months after we broke up, and I was still getting items from his house. I know I'm the AH when it comes to the beginning and texting my ex, but after 2 years, if there is still no trust, should I stay or go? I started looking for an apartment and got one first try. Won't be ready for another month, and at which time I need to pay rent and security deposit, so I've been putting all my money aside to pay for it. I asked my husband 3 weeks ago why he married me. He responded by repeating the question and asking me, which I had written down so I could hand it to him. I said, "I asked first," in which he replied, "Because I love you." I said, "But why?" Nothing. He stopped talking about it and nagged me for not taking the trash out after making dinner and doing dishes. I feel more like a slave than a spouse most days. I finally gave him the piece of paper with the reasons I married him, which most of those are now the reason I want to divorce him. I don't feel safe or confident in sharing anything with him because he tells his friends. Like, I told him I tried butt stuff once because it was a conversation, and I said I don't want to ever do it again. But because I did it, I was able to find out a medical thing I was having and had surgery. About a month later, we were in the bar, and he told his friends, and I was the butt of the joke all night. I mentioned it to him and how it made me feel, and he said that I deserved it because I was talking to my ex behind his back. Every once in a while, it's brought up. Even for my birthday last year, I got a butt plug as a joke. He never responded to the paper. He read it and said thanks. It has been 3 days and I am boiling inside because even after being vulnerable and allowing myself to let him know, he still, aside from saying I love you, has any reason why to be married to me. Love isn't enough at this point. I'm done being his punching bag and him always saying I deserve it after 2 years. Should I tell him I'm moving out in a month or just tell him after I get the keys? Aita, I have known my husband for 6 years prior to being married. I was talking to my ex about getting items from his house, how the phone bill was going to work, getting the utilities out of my name, getting the lease out of my name. My husband asked me not to talk to him, and I was. So I lied about being in communication with him. He thought my friend was talking to him for me. I was not dating my husband before I moved out. My ex and I had been broken up, but living together for 3 months prior to me leaving also. Now, for the 1-month update, I want to start off by saying I did not have an emotional affair, intimacy affair, or any kind of affair with my ex after moving out. Just finalizing all the breakup stuff from living together. Here we are, a little over a month, and I've been in my apartment for almost a month now. It got harder to continue biting my tongue, knowing I was going to be leaving. It wasn't supposed to be ready until the beginning of November, but they finished it earlier. The week before I got the keys, we had a blowout over getting fast food for our hungry children after a sporting event. They got their food and went home. His daughter had gone back to her mother, and I have my children more than he does, by about 17 days a month. The following weekday, he took the day off without my knowledge and brought home an old car that he just had to buy. He wasn't home when we had gotten home. He was at the bar, and I was stunned he went without me. And when I have my children, his thing was always we never go to the bar without each other. Apparently, it was only me not allowed to go without him. We got into an argument over how he couldn't buy fast food for our kids, but he has no problem going out and buying a car without consulting me. How he had gone to the bar, and if I had done that, I would have gotten in trouble by him and consequences to me going. He went on telling me how it is different because I have responsibilities and his doesn't live with us. So I said I'm leaving. I can't handle this anymore, and how it is okay for you to do A, B, C, and I can't go anywhere. I don't think he thought I was serious, even after bringing home boxes and having my children pack their stuff. I pulled into the driveway with 7 people and a U-Haul, and we loaded all of my belongings and my children's, and I moved. He helped pack it up, but didn't come over to my new place until he decided to surrender our dog to me as he doesn't have time for him. We agreed to continue to date. We went out for my birthday, but I said I wanted to take separate vehicles. He wasn't happy about that, but I'm glad I did. One of my friends came, and all his did. They wouldn't talk to me, acknowledge me, and they did a birthday shot and wished me a happy birthday while I was in the bathroom and didn't even have an extra for me. So, I left with my girlfriend and her husband. I didn't say bye to anyone, and a fight ended up breaking out because I didn't say bye to my friends and said bye to a few others. My husband accused me of meeting up with another man because I was definitely not going to his place. When I explained to him how I was treated, including how he treated me, he responded with, "Nobody knew how to act about our situation." I asked him if he told them the truth about how I moved out because of the way he treated myself, my children, and that I had enough of trying to talk to you and you not taking accountability for anything. He said if I acted like the other wives and be seen and not heard, that maybe they would have talked to me. PSA: if you are married to someone who doesn't allow you to be yourself, leave. We've been amicable, agreed on what he is keeping and what I am keeping. He just wanted us off his health insurance. I've been better, more relaxed, and my children are happier. I'm more confident in my position at work that I had been so doubtful on since I was promoted. I haven't felt like I'm in survival mode anymore. I'm living again, broke because starting over and buying things over again has really sucked. I've been reconnecting with friends that I hadn't seen or spoken to since we married. I'm crocheting, reading, having conversations with my children that they didn't feel comfortable talking about when we lived with him. I've found me again. The few interactions we have had, he accuses me of leaving for another man. He is driven by my new place, and I have it on surveillance in case he wants to be a jerk. A friend of mine that I've known since elementary school asked me what we had in common and what made me want to marry him. The more I sat there and thought, I couldn't think of anything other than my family thought this is what I needed and whom I needed to marry and be with. He's been at the bar almost daily because I'll get text messages from people who see him, or I'll get drunk texts from him trying to start an argument. I spoke with his ex-wife because I was wondering how his child is doing with everything going on. She expressed that they are happier that they aren't forced to spend more time with their dad anymore. She said the situation sucks, and she wished he had changed from when they were married. I asked her what she meant. She proceeded to tell me that her children were never good enough, and he nitpicked them. She said she couldn't chew gum because there would be consequences if she did. He accused her of having an affair with every person she came in contact with. I just sat there in awe. She asked how my children were doing with the change, and I expressed their change in behavior and how the activities they loved doing, they are doing them again unapologetically. It was refreshing to know that 10 years ago, she made the same decision I had made today. I can't wait until the divorce is final and I'm free. I'll live paycheck to paycheck before I would ever go back. Am I the idiot for walking out on my wife after she showed her true colors at dinner? I am a 53-year-old white man, and my wife of 30 years, Naomi, is Japanese. We have 3 kids, and this story focuses on my oldest son, Kyle, who is 28. When Kyle first got to college, he began dating a Japanese girl, and when he introduced her to my wife, Naomi loved her. They didn't end up working out. But for the past 3 years, my son has been seeing Danny, a black girl. My son was in medical school across the country and ended up meeting Danny because they both were volunteers at a soup kitchen. I remember the first time he sent a picture of her. My wife immediately didn't like her. I'm going to try to phrase this without sounding ignorant myself, but she looks like the urban black girl most think of when African American women. She has the big hoop earrings, the long nails, the long eyelashes. I think she looks stunning, but I've never been in a situation where I was involved in African American culture. Recently, my son moved back to our city for residency, and Danny moved with him and started law school. They were staying in an Airbnb while looking for a place, and this week they finally found one, so they invited us over for dinner. Danny cooked soul food, and this stuff was amazing. I complimented her food, and my wife gave me the side-eye. Naomi then pulled out her phone and asked Danny why she dresses like that and why she was twerking in public. Kyle asked his mom what her problem was. I then took the phone to scroll through Danny's Instagram, and while she did have some videos of her having fun, she also had plenty of pictures of her academic achievements. Before Danny could answer, I told my wife Danny is young and having fun. I asked if she saw that Danny graduated finished laude or all the times she volunteered. My wife looked angry that I would bring that up. Naomi then said that she thinks Danny isn't good enough for our son. Danny then asked why Naomi loved Kyle's ex so much. She didn't graduate with honors, and she has many different boys that she posted on social media. Danny then said it's evident the reason Naomi doesn't like her is because of her race. Naomi doubled down and said, "So what? I've never heard Kyle even disrespect his mother, but he told her to get the frick out. Naomi left crying. In the car on the ride home, I asked her what was her problem. She asked why I didn't defend her. I said because she was being a discriminatory and a hypocrite, and she's acting just like her parents. Her parents didn't like me because I was white. She just said it's different and was just silent on the way home. And when we got to the house, she locked herself in the room and started crying. I can't feel bad for her, because if someone disrespected my wife the way she disrespected Danny, I would have absolutely done the same exact thing Kyle did. But am I the jerk because I was also harsh towards her in this situation? Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, NTA, not to pry, but you've obviously been with your wife for 20 plus years. How is it possible that you didn't know she's virulently discriminatory until now? I replied, there was never a situation where we were directly involved with African Americans. She's never displayed this type of behavior. Racism is not a preference. And it's not even about her, it's about my son. Supporting racism is never something I'll do. That's not why I asked this. I'm never going to be sympathetic towards her. I asked if I was too harsh, not if I was wrong. This is a horrible mentality, and at the end of the day, my wife is apparently discriminatory. I'm not about to try and understand that. That's crazy. Could I have been kinder? Absolutely. Could I understand where she's coming from? Absolutely not, especially given our situation. I've had contact with plenty of black people. They have never been intricately involved in our lives. Like her siblings never dated black people, neither has anyone in my family. The closest person would be my middle child's best friend, and they didn't really connect until the middle of high school. Now for the update. I want to mention a couple of things. First off, I've been around black people. They were never part of my inner circle until Danny came along. Also, I think it is stupid that twerking has a negative connotation. It's just dancing. And the video that my wife found was of Danny at a nightclub. She wasn't at church dancing that way. My daughter Ari and her mom are very close. So I asked her to breakfast today and we talked. I just asked her if she knew her mom to be discriminatory. She asked why, and I told her about the incident with Danny. Ari told me everything makes sense now. She said it was subtle, but when she was in high school, she lost a chess match to a Hispanic boy, and Naomi said he must have cheated. But during another round, when she lost to a white girl, her mom just said she was really good. She listed a few other incidents, but it was hard to see Ari come to the realization her mom is not who she thought she was. Ari then explained how this is bad because Kyle told her how he was about to propose soon. I guess Ari talked to her before I could because my wife asked, how can I bring the kids into the argument? I said this argument is about their brother. Our kids are very close, so they were going to find out eventually. I said since she's done crying, does she want to explain what last night is about? She said it's not that serious. I thought how if my son and Danny got married and had kids, I wouldn't be involved if I chose to stay with Naomi, and that's not a chance I was willing to take. So I packed my bag and told Naomi if she's not even willing to talk to me, I can't stay in this relationship. She said stop before I left out the door and started crying again. She admitted to having discriminatory tendencies. She also admitted that she's jealous of Danny. She said she was supposed to succeed like her and be smart like her. She said it's not fair. I said it was fair. Growing up, my wife was not poor or had it hard by any means. She had access to tutors, the best schools. I said that's a sad and pathetic excuse. She then said she was losing both of us to Danny. I asked how. She talked about how I complimented Danny's cooking, but don't like Japanese food. I explained how I'm just not a fan of Japanese food, but I would eat it when she makes it. But it can't be about the food, because she already had a problem before we got there. I told her I'm leaving, and that until she changes her ways or gets help, I'm not coming back. And I'm getting a divorce if she doesn't apologize to Danny and mean it. I've just been driving around since that conversation, and I'm hurt that the love of my life is not who I thought she was.